Hi folks, welcome to another weekend podcast. I'm joined by Hugo and we're going to be talking about a European Green Deal. But before we do, I have to let you know that we obviously have premium content on the lotus.com, that if you'd like to support us and make sure we have a job and get access to all of these awesome bits and bobs that I think are very interesting, enriching and entertaining, you can go there and check that out. But anyway, shilling aside, Hugo, what's going on?
Well, the European Green Deal is going on. And that's not a new thing, right? That's something that's a plan that the EU has had and has had for some years now. But it's been kind of ramping it up. And what is interesting, actually, is that I found out that a lot of the implementation of the plan has been going through this year. Mm-hmm. So while everyone has been focusing on lockdowns and COVID and vaccines and things like that, the EU has not been focused on that too much and has been focused on its regular kind of things.
Yeah.
I guess it makes sense a little bit because EU member states were the ones that were actually taking their own autonomous action on COVID and on lockdowns and things like that. So it makes sense that the EU would be kind of left behind in that, but that left a space for the EU to do all kinds of things that it would usually do. But it's funny that it keeps doing it even throughout the pandemic.
Right.
Okay, so the European Green New Deal is what it sounds. It's not the European Green New Deal because that would be too much of a mouthful. So they shortened it.
So let me guess, because I haven't looked into this, and this is all going to be new to me. This is essentially the same as the Green New Deal, the Green Industrial Revolution, and all of the other sort of dare I say globalist climate initiatives.
It's explicitly modeled after the American proposed Green New Deal.
Right.
It's saying, okay, the Americans came up with this, so we're going to come up with this. And I'm actually going to draw a connection there in a minute, which is quite interesting because they learned a bit from the American attempt. So this is kind of the more realistic version. I'm not saying good. I'm saying it's more realistic. It's something that has a chance of passing it. That won't end with Mitch McConnell calling for a vote and them complaining about it. So.
So for anyone who doesn't remember, the Green New Deal as proposed by the radical left-wing elements of the Democrats was ridiculous, unbelievably expensive, called for, what was it, the banning of planes, the rebuilding of every house and building in America or something like this. Mm-hmm. It was unbelievably stupid and such a ridiculous wish list. It's clownish, in fact, in its scope.
Yep. But I think were not for the pandemic, it might have worked, not in the way that they would push it through, but in the way that it would shift the Overton window, which is an important thing to do, and you need to do it before you attempt anything. Right?
Yeah. Which appears to have happened.
Exactly, but the pandemic kind of sidelined that issue quite a lot, and so you had these developments kind of taking the back bench, and so the fact that this actually worked hasn't been apparent yet, but maybe when the pandemic is over and we get to politics as before that, as in issues, not the type of
assuming that gets to happen,
right?
But yeah.
Then we might see what it actually resulted in, the kind of shift in the Overton window. All right, so the first thing is just to go to the EU website, right, that talks about the European Green Deal, right? And so this is the webpage, and on the webpage they have a nice little introduction video that we're going to watch now.
The European Green Deal is Europe's new growth strategy. We have to act now.
The European Commission has prepared 3 concrete actions that will offer a strong basis for the New Deal.
I want Europe to become the first climate-neutral continent in the world by 2050.
Real benefits include zero pollution, affordable and secure energy, smarter transport, and high-quality food.
A Just Transition Fund will leverage public and private money, including with the help of the European Investment Bank.
All these will contribute to a global Green Deal. No one will be left behind.
We will deliver a sustainable Europe investment plan.
Our €1 trillion of investment would give investors confidence to make long-term decisions on environmentally responsible projects. This will mean new jobs, a cleaner environment, and a better quality of life for people.
we Europeans are ready.
Thanks, I hate it. I hate everything about it. So, Unelected Bureaucrat number 2977 really wants this, and that she's going to do this for us. Obviously, Ursula von der Leyen is the head of the European Commission. I know, obviously. But again, you didn't vote for her, so, thank God for Brexit. But who the hell are we're going to do this for you? Thank you, oh Lord, oh Master. Thank you so much. I hate it. Right. Yeah, let's carry on.
The first
I'm already annoyed, actually. This has already really annoyed me.
But the first thing that she noticed when you watch this is unbelievably corporate. Is just unbearable.
Yeah.
Just the music, the kind of stock
shiny,
music.
polished,
Exactly,
it's totally soulless. Totally soulless.
Yeah, exactly. And right, and so two things that I wanted to mention in that video. One thing was the mention of the phrase "no one left behind," right? And so that obviously we know where they come from. Like "no child left behind" is the US's education policy has been for some decades, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. No, I think you are right.
Yeah. I don't know exactly for how long that's
sure, but it's been the policy. And
exactly.
But
it's quite famous as well.
But it's also, if you look at it, a very paternalistic way to look at populations, and it's like, I'm not your child.
Yeah, with mixed results, to say the best.
Yes.
So if we look at this, if you look at the phrase "no one left behind," if you actually don't agree with what she's proposing and you don't like it, it means that it doesn't mean no one left behind. It would be no one will escape. That's what it means if you don't like it. So that's quite.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. What if I want to be left behind? What if I don't want to be dragged along with you? Do I get a choice? No, of course I don't get a choice.
Don't you want new jobs?
Yeah, exactly.
And a clean environment.
And I guess you could have just voted for the other guy. No, I couldn't. What could you do? There's nothing you can do. I hate this.
It's not like it makes any difference in the EU anyway. I mean, the EU Parliament is unbelievably steadfast in its direction and in its kind of mission that it does. You can look at its record. You can look at the people that are sitting in it. It's just awful. Yeah. And there's no changing it. There's no matter how hard people vote, in their home countries, that this doesn't really change. I guess the environment of Brussels, of the European Union, is just that you can't do anything about it.
Having been there, you can see it operating, right? You can see that it is a giant machine with lots of little cogs, but there are forces that are moving within it, and you can see that once something starts going, there's no way you can just bring it to a halt. It's like a moving train. And this is what the UKIP MEPs found. There's no reforming this from the inside. It's not going to happen.
And it's like, okay, the European Parliament voted on this and voted on that.
Yeah,
it never votes against something.
No,
because it just something just comes.
It rubber stamps.
It's stacked this high. I know. Yes. Okay. Next.
Well,
and it's like that every day, all the time.
Well, and the way it works is the MEPs get interns or assistants to read through all the legislation and basically give them an executive summary along particular ideological lines. So the assistants pull out the things that they think the MEPs will care about and say, we are for or against this bill because of these things. And so it's not right. Okay.
Yep. And so the other thing is that Ursula there mentioned 1 trillion euros for green investment, right?
And where's that coming from, Ursula? She's generous.
Exactly. It's not her money, is it?
Oh, I guess it might, I guess not. Yeah.
And so
Andrew Yang was really rich until he started. No.
and so we need to think about trade-offs here, right?
Yeah.
She's not paying for it herself. It's not her money. It's coming from somewhere. And so where it's coming from is somewhere where the money would have been invested in a different way, right?
Yep.
And so is she more responsible than the people who had the money in the first place? Is she going to make better decisions about where to put the money?
Well, she's definitely more accountable than them. Oh, no, wait, she's not. She's accountable to nobody. Right, so someone who's accountable to nobody has got a grand idea, a revolutionary idea, and €1 trillion to back it, right?
Exactly.
Great.
Exactly. So
worst setup ever. Let's go.
Yep. So let's go on. So Ursula, obviously, last year, I think, called it... this is, she said about the European Green Deal, that this is Europe's man on the moon moment.
Oh, Jesus. All right.
Okay. So let's go.
It's the wild flights of fantasy. They're in charge of a continent and they're just I don't even want to get into it. Let's carry on.
I think
It's already annoying me. I hate it. I hate it with that.
but she might have a point there though. Now that I'm thinking about it, because the Man on the Moon project was also like a vanity project. This was like
Yes, it was.
waste
That's
a ton
true.
of money
Yeah.
instead of putting in something useful just for like optics and
Yeah.
like cred in the Cold War. Okay, good plan. So let's
Got
go
to beat the Russians.
So let's go through policy areas.
Yeah.
So on the webpage, there are policy areas which the European Green Deal encompasses. And so the policy areas is just top to bottom: biodiversity, from farm to fork, sustainable agriculture, clean energy, sustainable industry, building and renovating, sustainable mobility, eliminating pollution, and climate action.
Right. So I mean, obviously, I'm not opposed to any of those concepts in principle.
Yeah.
Like, no one is. Why?
Yeah.
How could you be opposed to eliminating pollution?
That's why it's written like that.
Yeah, exactly. But I was about to get to that. That's exactly why it's written like this. So it's just totally bland. But go on, what does it contain?
So as you were saying, at first glance, that looks nice. It
Who
looks
could object?
reasonable.
Yeah.
It looks nothing bad is going on, right? And it looks way more reasonable than the US thing, right?
Yes.
That's the threat,
Yes.
right?
Oh, God,
the US had proposed something.
Yeah.
It didn't work, and now this is being proposed, and it's
How
got,
is Ursula going to stop cows from farting?
exactly. It's got no farting cows. It's got no retrofitting all buildings. It's got
Yeah.
no banning all flights, even though flights like
Bad luck, Hawaii.
there's stuff about flights.
Yeah.
So at first glance, okay, that looks much more reasonable, much more achievable if that's something that you'd like to do. And many people would, because if you look at it, it looks nice.
Yeah.
The devil is in the detail though. And so we'll look at some of the details of what it actually means, what is actually behind each of those headlines. Mm-hmm. Well, not each of those. We're going to go
Yeah, a
through
couple.
some of them because it's
take
way
all
too long.
day,
Yeah. So as we all know, the EU loves micromanagement, right? So that's why we need to look at specific things that they do, because that illustrates very well to what extent they actually do things. They actually dictate what someone does and how they do it, and how
Yep.
things are supposed to play out, because they have
They love their procedures.
exactly. It's not just that. It's that the illusion or the perception of control is very important. It's that if something's going on, it's according to rules, yes, and it's according to rules that we have made, and we made sure that these rules will lead to something good, something nice in the future, and so this is all under control. Nothing's going on. There's no chaos. There's no unpredictability, right? So that's the kind of tone that the European Union likes to set and likes to portray itself as. It's something that is very stable, very predictable.
Yeah. I mean, that was the pitch, so investors could know.
Yeah, exactly. It was not for the public. It was for the investors.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
It was, and so, right. So let's go through the farm to fork part, which is the second thing in that agenda.
Bit exclusionary to sporks and chopsticks, but okay.
There's the first thing. Like, what is that slogan? It's weird. Like, there's three F words. Like, there are not that many F words overall. Like, you have to try to create something like that.
F doesn't exactly create the most beautiful alliterative effect
Exactly.
either. If it was S or something. But anyway, yeah.
As
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway.
Well, it's more lyrical sounding letter. But anyway, yeah.
Right. So if we go down on the from farm to fork page, we see the next steps that are supposed to be taken in this kind of field. And the next steps are: create a food environment that makes the healthy and sustainable choice the easy choice.
Yeah.
Well, I'll go through all of them and then comment on them, right? Add food labels that allow consumers to choose healthy and sustainable diets, stepping up the fight against food waste, research and innovation, and promoting the global transition. Right, and so let's start from the top. Micromanaging the diets of people. That's like the thread of micromanagement is in all of them and everything, but like this is just very annoying for a lot of people. So this is worth mentioning because
Yep.
So things I don't know. you can't easily find out what these things entail, like specifically detailed policy. But I imagine it's going to be things like taxes on fats or on sugar or sugary drinks, things like that. So typical nanny state things that we're very well aware of in the UK. Right, and so this is just something that promotes that even further, and that just says, okay, this is a good thing. This is what we want. We need to make sure that we incentivize people to pick the proper diets, and we make it as easy for them, and by extension, as hard as possible for them to pick any other diets.
And the thing is, right, I'm obviously still doing my keto diet. I'm obviously completely in favor of you having a healthy diet. Don't eat lots of sugar.
Are you on an EU plan?
Yeah, but I don't want a goddamn EU bureaucrat making it so I can't get sugar if I want it. Anyway,
Keto diet is an EU conspiracy.
it's going to be forced upon you.
I'm joking, by the way.
And instead, you should force it upon yourself. Anyway.
Right. Add food labels that allow consumers to choose healthy and sustainable diets. Micromanaging labeling. Okay, in the EU, I know whether it's the same thing in the US. Probably not. Probably something else. You have nutritional information in the EU usually on the back side of the packaging. On the front side, you have the label, some kind of pictures and stuff, and you have usually the weight and something like that, like general nutrition information. And the detailed ones you have like in like a table at the back, right? And so this is just like fiddling with that and saying, okay, like having it at the back is not enough. We need another row. We need another thing, And it's just like, okay, is this not enough? Is this is it?
Why is this on your mind? You've got the information on the package. Why now does that need changing? And the thing is, I'm not even against them putting the information on it. I need it. I like having. I like having the information.
Yeah, I like it too. But I mean, it's
just now you have it. Move on. Yeah. Why are you still talking about it?
But like even now, like most packaging, almost all packaging does have it, and like even if you weren't to not mandate it anymore, no one would change it. Everyone's used to it. There would be outrage if anyone removed it. So this is pointless anymore. You can do these things by like civil activism, not by the commands of the EU.
Leading by example.
Exactly.
Because and it really does matter. Obviously, because I've got a particular diet now, I have to make sure that what I'm buying, what I'm eating, doesn't have sugar in it.
Exactly. And if this wasn't on the books and only like 2/3 of the products in Sainsbury's had the nutrition values on it, you wouldn't even look at the rest because you need the information.
I would only be buying those.
Exactly. So the producers would be incentivized to provide that because people like it and sometimes need it, and so that's practical, right? And everyone's used to it now, so nothing will change.
And moreover, if for some reason you had a reason not to do it, you wouldn't have to. Can't imagine what that reason would be, but I mean,
Like you have something really simple and you want to make it very aesthetically pleasing, something like that.
Could be, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You could have a QR code with a link to your website with nutritional values. Like we're living in the 21st century. That's not like there's options. There's options. Okay, so the last point, promoting the global transition, right? And if we take a look at the smaller text, it says, making European food famous for its sustainability can give us a competitive advantage and open new business opportunities for European farmers. The EU will collaborate with third countries and international actors to support a global move towards sustainable food systems. A sustainable food labeling framework will facilitate consumer choice. The first sentence is just very confusing, for me at least, because the EU is famous for its agriculture cartelization and it's kind of fascistic almost system, right?
Well, let's say mercantile. It's protectionist. It's very. I wouldn't say fascist. I think it's a bit strong.
I'm not saying they're fascists. I'm saying that.
Okay, well, I will call them fascists, but but that's a separate matter. I would say it's more sort of protectionist.
Okay, let's call it mercantilist, and like that. That's probably a good descriptor as well. So it's famous for these kind of policies, right? It's famous for not wanting to interact on very specific restrictive terms with farmers from non-EU countries, and it's a very closed system.
And it's easy to see why as well, because the farmers from non-EU countries are going to easily outcompete them due to lower regulations and cheaper food. So
the practice over EU's history has been the more porous the barriers between the EU member states, and the less kind of friction there is within the EU, the more barriers are erected
Yep.
outside of the EU on its borders, right? And
Correct.
so this is just a trade-off, right? It's not like the EU is just doing away with barriers and it's nice. It's also erecting barriers elsewhere, but not many people see it that much. Right?
Because they're inside, so they don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
But the EU's a very it's a giant protectionist block.
Yeah, and so I don't know if what they mean by this is that this kind of mercantilist system will somehow extend to the entire world, and the entire world will be managed, the agricultural sector of the entire world will be managed based on this like subsidy system and protection system and lease system, right?
To me, right, what that sounds like, making European food famous for its sustainability can give us a competitive advantage and open new business opportunities, makes it sound like they're going to be selling food to Portland. And these people who are like, oh yeah, look, this is grown by Romanian peasants in a sustainable way in the European Union. I'm so progressive for buying this. I know it's $5 more for an apple or whatever, but I'm going to buy it because it's sustainable. It's helping out some poor European peasant. That's what that sounds like to me.
Yeah.
And stupid, optimistic nonsense.
That might be one option. Yes,
It just might be. That's the way it sounds. I don't know.
But saying like promoting the global transition, I think that means like being an example and pushing other countries, like non-Western countries, towards those policies.
I don't doubt that.
And so I'm thinking if everyone's in on it, no one's in on it, right? So it's like, okay, we're gonna have this weird protectionist mercantilist system that is not actually mercantilist anymore because everyone's in on it, because everyone operates under these rules, and it's all managed by subsidies and bureaucrats. And okay, like this sounds like a good idea.
It might be, but it sounds to me like they're going to be trying to leverage a moral argument in order to get sales. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
But either way, who knows?
Yeah, this could mean multiple things, and it's designed like that, just so that you can take away from it anything you want.
But either way, I don't think this system is going to give a competitive advantage. If you want a competitive advantage, what you do is lower taxes, lower barriers, allow people to do these things more
everyone
easily.
knows what to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everyone knows.
It's not like those people are uneducated; they know what to do perfectly well. Like this is not them being ignorant. This is them being promotive of their own interests or interests of people, of particular groups, particular interests.
Not just interests as well. Like, I mean, moral interests. I think this is all very morally framed.
Yeah, that too.
And I think that is important to them. I think they're very concerned about being like a moral superpower, like Sweden claimed to be.
Yeah, I think there's a big like mix in Brussels between like one group that wants to be really moral and that, and the other group that is very kind of very interest based, and there's like lobbying industry and everything. It's just, and these two groups mix, and the result of this is the introduction video.
Yeah, it's this.
Right, so let's move on to the next point in the European Green Deal. This is sustainable agriculture, and it's the common agricultural policy, because the European Green Deal talks about sustainable agriculture, but what it actually says is that it's basically the common agriculture policy.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, okay, what's the common agriculture policy?
Just to interrupt, this was something that UKIP members would talk about a lot. I didn't really pay attention to it because it wasn't a very interesting topic to me, but basically the implication was this has been holding back farmers for some time.
This has been making the agriculture industry very like bureaucratic and very different from how it would operate and how it does operate elsewhere in the world, in the free market as well. And so let's just see the first points of the aims of the Common Agricultural Policy. So launched in 1962, the EU's Common Agricultural Policy (CAP) is a partnership between agriculture and society, and between EU and its farmers.
Thank God the European Union came along, because agriculture and society had never come together in any way, shape, or form previously.
It aims to support farmers and improve agricultural productivity, ensuring a stable supply of affordable food. It aims to safeguard European Union farmers to make a reasonable living. It aims to help tackle climate change and the sustainable management of natural resources. It aims to maintain rural areas and landscapes across the EU. and it aims to keep the rural economy alive by promoting jobs in farming, agri-foods industries, and associated sectors. The CAP is a common policy for all EU countries. It is managed and funded at European level from the resources of the EU's budget. Okay, so the first thing, the Agricultural Society, obviously, like that's weird. That's like,
hey guys, would you like food? Oh, God, I hate it.
what is that?
Yeah, why would I need this? This strange new invention that the European Union has bestowed upon us.
Oh
God, I hate it.
Well, part of the European Union has some communist history, so there's some precedent for that.
Oh,
Whoa.
absolutely. Yeah,
Food,
yeah, absolutely.
food, what is this?
Half the European Union was communist at one point, so yeah.
And the other half was like pseudo-communist.
Yes.
Okay.
French, yeah.
Yep. I mean, the UK after the Second World War is a chapter for itself. Like, look up the history. If you like, viewers would look up the history, it's worth it. Like this, it was very intense. So, basically, all the points are euphemisms for some kind of subsidies, right?
Yeah.
It's all based on subsidies. It's all based on giving out money to European farmers to kind of manage the relationships between farmers by attaching them to the EU and then deciding who gets what and who does what based on the money that you get from the
So
EU.
everything has to go through a central point. Normally, Farmer A would talk to Farmer B,
Yeah.
and they would just talk directly, but instead now they've got to go through Bureaucrat C in order to get anything done.
Yeah, and like competition that would be there is also managed by the EU in this way. So you can't have a market, you can't have like meaningful prices when everything is based on basically liege relationships between the EU and the farmers. Like,
Well, we've got to make sure that we've got a feudal equal starting point.
Yeah. And so then it continues this kind of overview article, and it says that business uncertainties and the environmental impacts of farming justify the significant role that the public sector plays for our farmers. Okay, like environmental things, fine, like that's something that is less controversial, less kind
Sure.
of like okay, but then business uncertainties. So business uncertainties justify the cronyization of the agriculture industry. Is that like? And so what do they mean by that,
Well,
right?
business uncertainties, what we would normally call entrepreneurship.
Exactly. Like, and what do they mean by that, right?
Like, if it was certain, why would I do anything?
Yeah. So specific, right? They have 2 points about uncertainties.
Yeah.
One, agriculture depends more on the weather and the climate than many other sectors.
You're growing food. But on the plus side, it's kind of predictable. Like every year, like does the same thing. Okay.
Second point, there is an inevitable time gap between consumer demand and farmers being able to supply. Growing more wheat or producing more milk inevitably takes time.
Yeah.
What?
Bureaucrats discover farming. Right.
Like,
Okay.
excuse me.
Animal husbandry.
Like almost all businesses deal with things like that. Like there's very few businesses that have more certainty than like I'm like no that's probably too much, but
No, but you're absolutely right. Like
uncertainty is a part of every business.
Yeah.
Like and if maybe not in this way, but in some other way, and
Yeah.
it's equally as grave, equally as important, right? And so you could make this argument in any sector, in any business. Like this is not something that would be legit in any way.
but it's not surprising or noteworthy
Yeah.
at all.
And so this is I think that this is just what's written there is just an excuse directed at those who have no idea how businesses work in general, right? So this is not intended for businesses to read or to like information. It's for low information people who've never encountered businesses in their lives.
Or bureaucrats.
Yeah.
People who have worked, who've had a guaranteed paycheck from the time they left university to the time they got employed by the European Union as a clerk, and then worked their way up through the bureaucracy. People who do not know what scarcity means. That's what it is.
And so this whole policy, right? This whole common agricultural plan, it was launched in 1962, as they say, right?
Yeah.
So it's very long. It's one of the most entrenched things in the EU. It's older than the EU itself. Like back then, it was something else. The EU officially like only started in the 90s with the Maastricht.
EEC or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, but even that they started with the Maastricht Treaty and then with the Lisbon Treaty in 2007 or something. And so all this, like, before that, it was like the European steel and coal community, coal and steel community after the Second World War, right, and gradually grew into more and more sectors and more comprehensive institutions. So it wasn't even EU back then when this was being established.
Yeah.
So this is very deep.
Yes.